You've made over $1 million from the prop firm space. Not a small amount of money by any means.
I think about 70% of it is from gamifying prop firms because the strategy was there, but I wasn't great with my own discipline. So I'm quite a bad trader, but I'm good at prop firm trading. I pulled 1.4 million. I'm not happy. Why? Because I know I could have done better.
Instead of trying to beat the market, he focused on beating prop firms. Our guest today is Zamco. He spent 6 years losing money before he actually flipped the script. He's now gone on to generate $1.3 million in prop firm payouts over the last 2 years. Do you think people like yourself are the reason why the industry is continually changing?
Yeah, I've had the CEO of some prop firms say this is the reason why we are now going to be changing the rules in reply to my tweet of making like 100k payout or something.
What is one prop firm rule that will actually help you to succeed?
Consistency.
Ooh.
That's controversial, but I've noticed my trading has gone significantly better when trading.
But his framework is controversial. Many people online call it gambling. He calls it understanding the rules. In today's episode, you're going to understand why accountability is everything and why success in prop trading might have less to do with predicting and more to do with understanding the game that you're playing. How do you feel about the people that think you're just kind of gambling things away?
I think the difference between a trader and a gambler is a gambler doesn't know what they're doing. They're just pressing buy and sell randomly. I wait for my setups. I have a clear defined strategy with an 80% win rate.
Do you feel proud of how far you've come?
No,
Why?
because
First and foremost, I kind of want to dive straight in, if that's cool. I did a little bit of research on you before getting here today, much like I would do with any guest.
Mm-hmm.
There was one thing that honestly took me a little bit by surprise, and I give you actually quite a lot of credit for, because I think there's a lot of people that will shy away from this. You've made over $1 million from the prop firm space. Not a small amount of money by any means, life-changing for a lot of people. But you've done it in a way where you've openly talked about the idea that actually you're not that disciplined of a trader, which I think for a lot of like influencers and people in the space, that would be something that they never want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's something that they shy away from. How much of your success, especially in the last couple of years, do you credit to actual trading skill versus learning how to gamify what we're doing in the prop firm space?
I think about 70% of it is from gamifying prop firms because the strategy was there, but I wasn't great with my own discipline. So I'm quite a bad trader, but I'm good at prop firm trading because I have a decent strategy. I just don't stick to it. So there's a difference. My strategy is good, but the issue was I don't stick to it because there's no rules telling me not to. But when it comes to prop firms, I already have a good strategy. And now prop firms implement these rules where I have to kind of stick to them. And now it kind of really works with my strategy as well. So there we go. That's kind of how it works in my benefit. So it's mainly just prop firms.
Interesting. So I found this relationship quite interesting because there's a lot of people that they look at prop firms as like the enemy. They look at their rules and their regulations like this is, they're trying to screw me over.
Yeah.
And actually, I think with the right mindset, and I think this is something that you'll probably share, that if you look at them the right way, they're actually designed to help you to become a better trader with the right perspective.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people get lost in that path. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the issues that people face is they don't see the benefit in things. Now, you can sit and complain about everything in life. It doesn't help you to get anywhere. I could sit and complain, oh, they're restricting me to 1% risk. But let's flip the script. How can I use that to my advantage? That's all I'm looking at everywhere in life is if something's bad, okay, how can I use that to my advantage? If this is going wrong, okay, what benefit can I bring out of this? What can I pull from this? It's always looking at what opportunity is there, even in the downside. That's kind of the mindset that I have, whilst a lot of people just sit and cry about it.
Has that been something that has always come natural to you? Or do you feel like you've had to learn how to do that along the way?
I think it's always been quite natural for me because I've always tried to do shortcuts. In everything, I've tried to find the glitch, tried to find the shortcut. Whether I'm playing Call of Duty, I'll try and get into that glitch spot. It's like I'm always trying to go out of the box, exploit whatever I can. It's like, what benefit can I bring no matter what situation I'm in? It's like, how can I get out of this?
Interesting. And so I know you had your big turning point in the prop firm space only 2 years ago.
Yeah.
How long were you doing prop firms before that?
About another 2 years, 2.5 years approximately. So I've been trading prop firms for like 4-ish years.
And I'm guessing by how your journey has gone so far, the first couple of years didn't go so well?
No.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
So are you talking about prop firms?
Yeah, specifically props.
Yeah, so the first 2 or 3 years of trading prop firms, I was just buying accounts, taking dumb trades. And my strategy wasn't that good back then. I didn't really know, like, what am I trading? What time am I trading? It was just random Forex pairs. It's like, oh, it's kind of trending. We kind of have a break of structure. Let me just take a buy. It's like, I didn't really know why price moves. And I think once I got into prop firm trading and it really started restricting me and have all these rules that I have to kind of adhere to, then I started looking at, okay, well, I can't just place my stop loss wherever. I have to get in and out within the single day because I don't want to hold overnight. It's like I'm looking at all of this, and now I start kind of looking at the actual market. It's like, how can I actually use that to my advantage? Why does the market move the way that it does, and how can I capitalize on it based off the prop firm rules? So then I really start dwelling into just the why. Why does price move? How does it move? Why does it move there? What turning points typically, like where are we pivoting? Where are we fine continuing? I started really dwelling into why price moves. And I think that's very important. A lot of people, they take losses and they just cry about it. I was looking at, why did I lose? What did we tap? Where did we finally tap into before we rejected and continued up? Okay, what did that zone look like? I break down every single loss to why did I lose? Why did I lose? I'm looking at all of that constantly. So I think when I got into prop firm trading, that's why I started focusing on why am I losing, rather than just complaining about it, which is what I was doing before prop firm trading. So I think it was just a mixture of all these rules, having to adhere to them and have to adapt my strategy to adhere to those rules. And then looking inwards at, why does price even move? Why do I lose? Why do I take this loss? And that's kind of how it started transforming.
One thing I find quite interesting about that is there's a very clear difference in mentality between like taking accountability and ownership for the things that you were doing versus a period of time where you were struggling. What was that breaking point for you? Because at least from what we've shared, like you spent actually 6 years losing. 2 of those were in props. 4 of those, I presume, were trading, maybe personal capital and things like that. What was the turning point? Like what got you to the point of hitting either that rock bottom or that ground zero where you decided something has to change and I need to start taking ownership and accountability? And how can, maybe somebody watching learn something from that so that they can be able to take the same shifts as you?
Okay. So the thing that changed for me was my marriage, right? So I only got married like 2.5 years ago or something like that. And the biggest change that happened was, look, here's the thing. I'm horrible at self-reflection.
Okay.
I don't even know how to do it. When I would be in university and I would be doing my hospital placements for my degree, and it came to the self-reflection part where I have to write down my self-reflection. What do I think I'm doing good? Where do I think I'm going wrong? I would struggle. I would be asking the educator, like, could you tell me where I'm going wrong? It's like, I have no clue how to self-reflect. Even now, I struggle with that. But when I got married, my wife helped self-reflect for me. She will start picking out, oh, you're doing this wrong. Or you said this, it didn't go right over here. This hurt me like this. It's like now I'm starting to see cause and effect. It's like, oh, I'm going wrong over here. If you ask me to self-reflect, I can't do it. Even now, if you tell me to, I can't do it. But my wife helps me with that. So I think that's where the turning point came in, where I started having external self-reflection and understood, oh, I need to take accountability. I wasn't doing that because I wasn't self-reflecting. I didn't know where I'm going wrong. No self-accountability, no responsibilities, nothing. So I think that my marriage really helped change things for me.
That's very interesting. But I like the fact that you talk about this in terms of reflection, accountability, ownership. It's really just a higher level of self-awareness, in my opinion, because I think where a lot of people get stuck, not just in trading, but in life, is we only see the world through our own eyes.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to step out of your own perspective and see it from somebody else's point of view, right? And this is where I think having a coach, having a mentor, having a partner, somebody that's willing to tell you how it is and not how you see it to be, is very, very important in a lot of areas of life. So since the marriage, what has since changed that maybe you have started to doing more of that you weren't doing enough of back then in terms of reflection? Is it purely just conversations with your wife? Are you doing things like journaling now in terms of your trading? Like how has this process changed for you?
So I'm not journaling. I never have and I never will. I really don't like that process.
We're going to fall out over this. I can tell you that now.
I don't see the point of it because I've been in the space for so long. Like I typically know what I'm doing wrong. I think, again, this is the biggest thing for most traders is when they ask, oh, where am I going wrong? I can guarantee they know what they're doing wrong, but they just still do it. Like, I know I'm over risking. I know I took a trade and I'm just revenge trading. It's like, I know I'm doing these things wrong. I'm not going to sit here and ask someone, oh, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Help me. It's like, most people know what they're doing wrong. So there's that. And I think what I really do now, it's whenever I take a loss, I'm looking at why. That's what I really, really look at. So I'm not journaling. I'm just looking at, okay, what did I miss? What did I miss? That's the biggest thing for me. Because if I have this philosophy now in life where it's everything is your fault.
Okay.
Everything that happens is pretty much your fault. You must have messed up somewhere. So if let's say your wife leaves you, what did you miss? Were you doing behaviors that you shouldn't have? Was she giving you signs that you didn't notice? It's like there's so many things that you could have done differently. I know you could have, but you just didn't. Sure, there's unfortunate events, but again, how do you respond to that? It's all kind of comes down to you. So that's why I started really implementing just where did I go wrong? What did I miss? If I made a mistake, okay, why? Did my stop loss get hit and we moved up? Okay, why? Where did my stop loss get hit? What was there? What was to the left? So I think that practice alone really helped me build my strategy and really change my prop firm game and build like a really good strategy.
Trading education is completely broken. For years, the industry has been purged and poisoned by bad actors, fake results, and strategies hidden behind paywalls. But in every industry, every once in a while becomes a catalyst, a moment in time for change. Now imagine a world where elite trading education was entirely free. Education with no hidden agenda, verified trading results, and real profitable strategies, all for free. Welcome to Chart Academy. Chart Academy is the world's first all-in-one platform for trading education. Chart Academy is free. No catch, no upsells, no strings attached. World-class trading education, completely free.
Hi, my name's Randy Howell, and welcome to my Chart Academy Masterclass.
This is completely revolutionary. The biggest change in trader education in 20 years.
My name is Carmine Rosado. I'm a verified 7-figure trader. I've been trading for 10 years now.
The reason why a lot of traders fail is because they...
Ultimately, this work is about self-mastery.
Trading education will never be the same again.
Browse hundreds of hours of content in Forex, futures, stock, options, and crypto from the best verified traders on the planet, all in one platform. Experience a completely personalized trading plan tailored to you and your goals. Reach milestones, redeem points, and earn rewards with a massive global community. Whether you trade Forex, futures, stock, options, or crypto, Chart Academy has something for you. Join the waitlist now and be part of a movement that is going to change trading education forever.
This is interesting for me because I find on one hand, you've actually gone through the mental shift of wanting to become more self-aware, seeing the benefits of introspection, reflection, and looking back on, taking ownership on everything that you've done to improve and become better. But on the other hand, you hate the idea of the typical process of journaling per se, right? Yes. I feel like what you're almost doing is almost keeping like a mental journal, but just not one that you're willing to actually write down.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's any relationship? And again, I'm going to take this back to the conversation where we started, which is we opened this podcast with you saying and openly admitting that generally you suck as a trader, right? The discipline perspective, right? Do you think if you were to keep a more vigorous journal around, let's say not the trades, not why did I lose, but why did I do the dumb shit? Why was I undisciplined? Do you think that there's any correlation between you not journaling that area and you not improving in that area?
I don't think journaling would help that because I know why I do the dumb crap. It's I can't be asked, or it doesn't feel good, or I'm lazy. It's these things. That's typical. That's the thing with everyone. It's like, why don't you do the things you should? Laziness or arrogance or thinking you know better, So I think I already know why I don't do those things, but it's like, okay, what's the easy way out of this? I know I'm not disciplined. Okay, well, prop firms help with that. Okay, I'm not good at self-reflection. Oh, I have a wife that helps me with that. It's like I'm outsourcing my weaknesses so that I can have help.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, right? I think bringing on the right people, having the right team around you, whether it's, again, it's a partner in life, whether it's employees, whether it's accountability partners, I all think those are very, very important aspects. But again, I feel like for me, it's a little strange to put it in the nicest way, because it's like a disconnection between, there's a side of you that wants to improve. You're clearly an ambitious individual and you want to achieve big things. But then there's also a side to you that you openly say, I'm lazy and I can't be bothered and I don't want to do it and I want the easy way out. But I feel like if you fixed one side, which is actually becoming more disciplined in certain areas, it would give you many of the higher things that you're looking for in a way that you would maybe in a more efficient manner. Do you agree with that? Or
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm always in a state of unsatisfied. I'm always unsatisfied with my performance. I pulled 1.4 million. I'm not happy. Why? Because I know I could have done better. I know what I did along the way where it could have been more efficient. I could have done better. So any sort of success or achievements that I have, it's kind of always unsatisfactory and quite disappointing for me. And I know I can do more. So I think that alone kind of keeps me going. But it is still unhappiness along the way because I know I can keep doing better.
My understanding of the human mind has always been rooted in the idea that we as humans, we like to stay generally in our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And we like to move away from pain and discomfort, and we stick towards things which make us feel good.
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to take for you to have a time and a place in life where you get so dissatisfied with knowing that you're not where you want to be, that you start doing all the things that you're kind of putting off at the moment?
I think it's when you realize the opportunity and seeing what it could have been. I know I could have done more, but it doesn't hurt me as much. It's like, I still feel like I'm doing pretty all right. So I'll still keep going this way. But if it came to a point where it's like, oh crap, I could have been on 20 million right now. And I could visually see the evidence like that is exactly where I could have been. And that stings me hard enough. I think that would be a good enough thing to kind of make me realize, oh, I need to change this.
But you know what would help you with that?
Journaling.
Yeah.
So I guess, okay, there we go. That's perfect, because that's probably a part of me that doesn't want to see that. I'm probably blocking that out.
100%.
So again, this is where it's really fascinating to me, where I feel like trading, it shows you who you are.
Yes.
Everything on the chart, every single price tick or whatever, that's just human psychology on a chart. And that's what I see it as. The charts will bring out who you are as a person. So even this, it's like, I don't want to see what I could have been, and I want to stay in my comfort zone. That results to me being unsatisfied. But why am I doing that as well? It's like, yeah, I could journal, but then part of me also doesn't want to see that. So I think it's interesting that is all of these psychological things behind the scenes. And I've just chose a model that works for me, where I can still make money in the laziest way possible.
This is, for me, it's a very interesting conversation, and we haven't had a lot of time to talk about my history, and this show is not about me whatsoever, but I think you'll find this interesting, because when I went through your journey, I also lost money for exactly 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Right? And it was 6 years, and it wasn't after that I started to make 6-7 figures from the markets. It was 6 years, and then I started breaking even. And then after a few years after that, I found a path to profitability. But the interesting thing is, for me, that journey happened a little bit earlier, before prop firms were a big thing. And I had no choice but to become more disciplined.
Yeah.
Because much like yourself, I was, again, maybe you can tell me this, but I felt like my biggest issue is, at times, I was a slave to my emotions. Anything that I thought and felt would come out as a reflection on the charts. And that was the biggest thing that held me back. The only way to start breaking free from that was really, I had to get clear about what my data was telling me about my strategy, but then also what my journals were telling me about me as a person. So when we talk about this idea of introspection, reflection, taking ownership and accountability, I feel like had I had the journey that you had in a time where prop firms were the up and coming thing, which they have become over the last few years, maybe my journey would have been different. Maybe I would have felt like I wouldn't need to prioritize the journals in the way that I did, but it became my foundation.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't hate it. And I think there was going to be something that I wanted to raise with you probably towards the end of the show, but actually I think this is a more fitting time to put it in. One of our earlier guests on the show, he put this in a great way. And he basically said, and I really want to get your opinion on this, if prop firms hypothetically were to disappear tomorrow, and I don't think that's going to be the case, but if they were to hypothetically disappear tomorrow and you haven't improved your ability to become a better trader, you've wasted your time. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I would agree to an extent. I mean, actually, no, I
Okay.
disagree with that.
Okay.
Simply because, sure, I'm not a great disciplined trader, but I can't deny I am more disciplined than I was before. I know my strategy was only built because of prop firms. I understand the market the way that I do now because of prop firms. And like even a year into my prop firm journey, I wasn't as disciplined as I am now. I'm still very undisciplined in my trading, but I do typically now just wait for my setups much more than I used to. So I feel like because of prop firms, it still made me what I am now. And if you take that away from me, I will struggle on personal capital. I'm not going to lie about that. I will struggle heavily, but I think I'm in a much better position now because of prop firms, and I might be able to pick up the slack if I'm just forced into that situation.
So do you think you're leveraging prop firms as much as you can in this day and age to utilize the skill set that you have? But if, let's say, I'd say, and we can dive into this bit as well, maybe the more likely scenario is not that prop firms disappear, but that someone like yourself gets banned from all of them.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's far more likely than prop firms disappearing.
Yeah.
Do you think that scenario would force you to do maybe some of the hard things that you've been putting off to become more disciplined in your trading? Or do you think you would leave trading behind if prop firms weren't a thing for you anymore?
I might do illegal stuff then. But no, I think the skills are transferable. I have a personality of I'll find a way. It's you put me in a corner, you trap me, I will get out. If you pressure me that much, I'll get out. Any means necessary. If that's illegal, whatever, I don't care. I'm getting out. I'm not going to be trapped. I think that's the biggest fear of mine, is having something trap me. I can't be trapped. You can't force me to do something. You can't tell me what to do. I can't stand that. So I think if you put me in a situation where I have to escape, I'll find a way. I think that's my personality. So if I get banned from prop firms, I'll find a way to make money somewhere else.
Do you think that other avenue would still be trading? Do you think it would be completely unrelated? Like, would you want to start trading personal capital if prop firms were no longer a possibility for you?
I think what I would do initially is I'll try to flip an account. I can't flip a 1K into 100K bit by bit. I'm not doing that. I will have however much money I've made, I'm going to try to just get at least 100K in personal capital. Then I might actually do my best to scale that slowly. But I think trading wouldn't be the main part of my income. I don't think so. I think I'll move more into commerce, e-commerce, or something like that. Something I still understand, or social media, and kind of push that, or sales. It's like I have the skill set. I can teach other people. I might be banned from all of these people, but I can teach you how to trade with prop firms. I'll get into more sales. But I'm not a fan of trading in the first place. I don't like it.
What is it about trading that kind of puts you off or that doesn't agree with you as a person?
It's what it's doing to my health mentally and physically. Like, I know I'm not sleeping much. I know the stress that it brings on to me. It's not a nice feeling. I literally just do it for the money. It seems like a bad addiction or whatever, but the money's good. It harms me, but the money's good.
Do you ever think about changing the approach that you have so that this can be something that you have longevity in?
Yes, I am actively trying to add behaviors and systems in place where I'm just better at trading, where it doesn't affect me as much. I know I keep waking up to trade Asia session when I shouldn't. I know I can just wait for London Open, do my 2-3 hours in the morning, and I can be done. I can do that. But I think because I'm in the young stages of my life, I want to make as much as I can, as quick as I can. But I think once I've made a good amount, I think I will start slowing down. Even now, I am slowing down. I am kind of not wanting to stay up as much as I usually do. I'm trying to just wait for my setups a bit more. So I'm noticing that it is affecting me. I'm still pushing, but it is slowing down now because I'm feeling it now. It really does affect me.
Would you encourage other people to have that kind of similar path and approach to you, which is kind of go hard as you can, as early as you can, and then adjust along the way? Or would you, to somebody else watching this, do you think having that better, maybe more balanced approach to begin with would be better for them?
I think you should go as hard as you can right from the get-go. Find out who you are. Push yourself to the limits and see, oh, that's who I am. That's what happens to me when the pressure's really high. I think that is the best thing you can do. And then once you realize these are your limits or these are your characteristics, now start refining it. I think you won't see that version of yourself until you really push yourself to the limits.
Okay, let's take a quick break here, and I want to tell you about a prop firm that's actually trusted and proven to pay their traders. There's only one name you need to know about. It's Traderify. You see, Traderify Futures is one of the most trusted names in the industry. They've had consistent and stable operations over the last few years, and they've paid out over $125 million to traders. The best part about doing business with them is there's no hidden rules. There's no denied payouts. As long as you hit your objectives, you get paid. It's pretty simple. Now, here's what Traderify gives you that actually matters as a trader. They've got flexible plans in place that you can get paid out daily. You've got the ability to pass evaluations in just a single day. And if you don't even want to mess around with evaluations, they've got instant funding plans as well. Honestly speaking, their dashboard is one of the best in the game. They've got an inbuilt journaling process that allows you to trade, track, and improve your results over time. That's how real consistency is built. Now, before we get back to the episode, I want to share a massive update. Traderify Crypto has officially launched. This is going to give you better pricing for crypto-funded accounts. And you're also trading with institutional liquidity from exchanges like Binance, OKX, and Bybit. This is honestly giving you the best trading conditions possible. On top of that, the payout setup is simple. On-demand payouts. If you hit your objectives, you get paid. It's as simple as that. I personally think regardless of whether you trade futures or crypto, Traderify is the move to make. Now make sure you use the code PFT at checkout to make sure that you get the best deal available. Links in the description below. Something I do want to run by you, and I think you'd be a great person to speak to this about, is actually a little bit about the prop firm industry in general. I've observed how it's changed and fluctuated in terms of rules and regulations and prop firms starting and shutting down and all sorts.
Yeah.
And obviously you've been in the space for quite a while. You would have seen very similar things. Do you think it's becoming, or would you agree that it's becoming increasingly more difficult to play the prop firm game than it was 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. All the restrictions are making it harder, but again, you could complain about it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of it as, oh, my strategy is actually improving because they're putting all these restrictions. It's like, oh, now I have to play it this way. But that's actually making me trade better. It's making my strategy much more clear and defined. So again, two things you could do. You can cry about it, or you could work with it and flip the script.
Interesting. Do you find that, or is there a part of you that feels like people that are in your position, which has a skill set to really leverage prop firms to the absolute max, do you think people like yourself are the reason why the industry is continually changing?
Yeah. I mean, I've had the CEO of some prop firms say, this is the reason why we are now going to be changing the rules or implementing this, in reply to my tweet of making like 100K payout or something. So yeah, it's people like me that are causing a disruption in the markets. And then of course we have people commenting under my payouts saying, you're the type of people that are causing all of these issues for us. And I'm just like, you haven't even got a single payout. What are you on about? I'm not changing anything for you. But yeah, I think it is people like me that are disrupting the prop firm space, but I'm being a bit more, I guess, responsible about it. I'm not going for huge payouts anymore like I used to. I'm keeping it a bit more smaller, but more consistent, because I understand it's not good business.
Good business for you or the prop firm?
Prop firms.
Prop firm.
Because I need them, they need traders. So if I take too much, the model doesn't work. But if I keep it small and consistent, it still works.
Yeah. I find the social media space very, very interesting because, I mean, you know, in traditional businesses, you don't get a lot of the audience that has at least a vocal say in the way that the business is running.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, you go onto Twitter, Twitter is where I spend most of my time, and, you know, everyone has an opinion on what prop firms are doing or shouldn't be doing at some point in time. And I find your interaction, and again, I've seen probably a very limited perspective of it, your interaction with not just the prop firm industry itself, but also with the people in the space, very interesting. I find there's maybe a good divide between people that either love and have a lot of respect for what you've done in the space, but also some people that just hate you and just think that you're a gambler, right? Where do you kind of sit with that? How do you feel about the people that think you're just kind of gambling things away, and what's that line for you like? Like for you, what is the difference between a trader and a gambler?
Okay. I think the difference between a trader and a gambler is a gambler doesn't know what they're doing. They're just pressing buy and sell randomly. I wait for my setups. I have a clear defined strategy with an 80% win rate. The actual strategy, not me, I'm horrible, but the strategy itself. I wait for those setups. Sure, I risk heavy, but again, I'm only risking the prop firm challenge fee every time. So you can sit there and complain, oh, he's risking 4% gambling. It's like, that's what the prop firm tells you is gambling. I'm not risking that much of my money. It's just the prop firm fee. So it's not gambling because I'm still waiting for my setups. I'm just risking heavy on it. If I was randomly just opening a prop firm account, press buy, maximum lots, and hope for the best, like, sure, that's gambling. You don't know what you're doing. But I'm still waiting for my setups. I'm still taking good quality trades.
So, all right, I want to flip this. And again, I want to play devil's advocate with this a little bit. If I was to go into a casino and I was to play blackjack, and I used to play basic strategy. I don't know how much you know of the gambling and blackjack space, but basic strategy will essentially start tipping the odds slightly in your favor, right? You do that in combination with what they call card counting, and you can essentially create a very small edge in an uncertain environment, right? I'm still going in and I'm playing a game of uncertainty. I still don't know what the outcome will be. I'm still risking money on that event to try and make money in return, but I have a setup, I have a strategy, I have something that I'm looking for. Would you still think of me as a gambler with that approach?
No, not at all, because you actually have a strategy that actually has a statistical edge. It's very different to a random guy who's drunk. It's like, oh, let's play blackjack, and just plays around. Like, that's very different to a person who's focused, knows the game, has an edge, and is executing. Very different.
But if you openly say that the thing that you probably lack most is your ability to stick to that edge on occasions, do you not think you kind of cross that line and you fall from trader to gambler then?
I think that's just an undisciplined trader. There's a difference between gambling, where you don't know what you're doing, and undisciplined trading. It's like I'm taking bad setups, but I have a general idea of, well, we are bullish. We are somewhat coming to a zone. I should maybe buy, but it's not the best setup. My stop loss is too tight. That's very different to I'm just pressing buy and sell. I don't know where we're going. It's just hope for the best. I'm taking bad setups. That doesn't mean I'm gambling. I still have a general idea of where price should go and why, but I'm just not taking the best quality setups.
See, I think I've always looked at this a little bit differently, and I don't know if it's because a lot of my beginning has been built around personal capital. And something that I always like to talk about, I try and keep my journey as transparent, much like yourself. I do really well in a personal account in the sense that I manage risk very well. But in the prop space, I suck, right? Because I think a lot of what is required, and again, experiences like this are kind of teaching me and showing me this, a lot of what is required to really get the most from the prop space is you have to be able to gamify it.
Yes.
And I naturally, and how my journey has gone, it's not something I'm naturally quite good at. I'm quite conservative in what I do. I protect capital at all costs. And my definition of a trader is essentially just a risk manager.
Yeah.
I sit there and I manage risk for a living. I'm going to win some, I'm going to lose some, but I'm never going to be the type of person that is pushing things to the absolute limit where I could lose a lot, right? So there's a part of how you describe your journey with personal capital where I get where you're coming from and I understand why the prop space has made you better. And again, if I'm being completely honest and transparent, there's a part of me that when I look at your approach and your content online, I think I sit somewhere in the middle. There's a part of me that has a great degree of respect for what you've been able to do to take a skill set, to make a lot of money from an industry. And I think people should look up to that as inspiration, as what is possible if you learn to play the game very, very well. Something which I'm openly still trying to do. But on the other side, there's a part of me that's like, well, he openly says he sucks in trading personal capital. He's leveraging what is currently available to him in the prop firm space. And when people sit there and I see, people replying and saying he's a gambler, he does this, he does that, I get it. Like there's a part of me that openly, like I said, I'm just trying to be transparent with it.
Fair enough.
I feel like I kind of get it and I understand where they're coming from. I don't know which is the right or wrong answer, but I think I'm open to seeing it from both perspectives. The one thing that is quite clear for me though, is the game, at least in the way that the industry is set up, is prop firms need people to fail.
Yeah.
Right? It's by design. It's part of the nature in terms of what they do. It would not be possible for there to be thousands of people like you to succeed
absolutely not.
in this game, right? And you've openly said in this podcast, like you started to tailor and change the way you're approaching things in terms of the type of payouts that you're going for, because you realize it's unsustainable. And again, you've been very open to say that I need them, they need me. Given your experience and given how you've played the game so far, would you still advise people to play the game the way that you've done it?
I think they shouldn't go as high risk as I do. I think that's just more of a personal thing. But I think approaching prop firms in a way where you do see it as a challenge fee, that's all you're risking. Don't get too attached to the money that's in your 100K account, or you're down 2K on a trade. It's not 2,000. It's $500 if you blow the account. You've only eaten up like $100 of your challenge fee if you're only down 2% on your eval. I think that's what I'm trying to push across. Don't see it as actual money. Just see it as a little challenge fee you've paid for. The numbers on the screen in your trades means nothing. You're just trying to pass objectives. I think that's what I'm trying to push across. You don't need to risk heavy. I do that because I'm impatient. I just want to pass quickly, get funded. But I'm not telling others, you need to do this. Have a good strategy, but understand it's all fake. It's not real until you get the funding and you actually get the payout. It's all just magical numbers.
But do you think that, and again, I say this with the perspective of the position that you're in, which is, I think whether you like it or not, you have a certain degree of, maybe not authority is the right word, but influence in the space. And I think, again, whether you like it or not, whether it's the message that you're actively portraying in those exact words or not, people will look at your approach and they will want to replicate exactly what you're doing. Do you think you're doing this in a way which is creating the right image, or is that not something that I say this on the mindset of like, people have to be responsible and accountable for themselves.
Yeah.
But do you think that you have a certain degree of like, you're in a position where you should lead by example, is maybe the right way to put it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I should lead by example. I try not to be reckless online. I try to be quite clear on this is what I'm doing. You can like it, you can dislike it, you can copy me, you can not copy me. But I'm telling you what I do.
Yep.
Now you can look at that and think, oh, I'm going to take this from this. That works for me.
Yeah.
Great. As long as that helps you. I'm just going to tell you what I do. So I don't think that it makes any sense for me to change how I do things. It's like, this is what I do. Take what you can from it, and whatever helps you, great. This is the strategy I trade. You like it or not, it doesn't matter. It's what can you take from me? I think that's what I was doing along my journey as well. I've traded every strategy, but I was just picking bits and bobs of what works with me. And that's how I formulated my Zflow model strategy. So I think, again, I do have some influence where I need to be a bit responsible because a lot of people look up to me.
Yeah.
But again, I think as humans, we shouldn't just be completely dependent on a person and be like, oh, he does this, so I'm going to do it. It's like, no, take what you can from what's good and leave the bad or what doesn't work with you. Just take the good.
Yeah. So I want to run something by you, and I want to do this primarily because you seem very self-aware. You seem like the type of person that I could have an honest conversation with. And I mentioned to you, even before we jumped on the camera, like there's parts of your content that for me are very, very interesting.
Okay.
Right. And so you've openly said that you're open to hearing others' perspective, and I want to give you mine on something, right? Sure. So in the build up to our podcast, I followed you, right? I actually wasn't following you before this. And when I did, I had the first video that popped up when I refreshed my feed, because you get a new follow, it kind of pushes it to the top. It was an interesting video, which I don't know where it sits on the spectrum of like being responsible in terms of what you're doing and plugging the wrong advice to people. If I'm honest, and again, I'm going to tell it to you straight, and I always like to have raw and just honest conversations. There's a big part of what you do, and I see what you've achieved in the space, and hands down, I think you deserve credit for what you've done. But there's also, I think, a fine line that maybe at times, and I want to read you part of this, which I think is where it starts crossing a line. And I think you have to hold a little bit of responsibility to what has been said and how you're approaching things. And I'm saying this not from my perspective, I'm saying this from the perspective of an audience member that is watching this that is maybe not as informed as to what this game can really be like, and sending across the right message about how to change your life from the prop firm space, because that's ultimately why we're here.
Yeah.
You open to doing this?
Absolutely. Go
awesome. For it. I like this, right? Firstly, I'm going to put it out there. I got a lot of respect for the fact that you're willing to have this conversation. So I don't know if you'll recall this. There was a video, and I did not go hunting for this. I promise you, it was the first one that popped up, and it just happened to be this way. It was a video where you talked about losing $500K in funding and you had $30,000 in profit on the account. Right. And I want to read it out and I want to get your honest opinion on this, because I truly believe what you see online is not always a real reality of the message. I think how we perceive and take on a message that's been shared, whether it's a tweet, a video, is not always in the way that it's supposed to be conveyed. So I want your honest opinion on this. But I want to read out almost basically word for word what you said in this video. And I want to tell you why I think it could be harmful for a lot of people. Fair?
Okay, sure. Fair.
So you had talked about the idea, you lost $500K in funding, you blew $30,000 worth of profit. And then this is what you said in your video. This is just me telling you that it's absolutely normal to blow funding. Fair. I could be up $30,000 in profit and still blow the account. So you can too. It's absolutely normal and it's completely expected. You're gonna lose. It's bound to happen. But obviously you get paid out somewhere here and there, and overall it makes up for it. It's okay to lose funding. Literally within the next few days or even weeks, I'll be funded again 500K with them, no problem. But, and this is the bit that kind of stuck out for me, I will make sure to use code Zamco to get 20% off my next challenger account.
Yeah.
Right? What's your thoughts on this? Can you understand my perspective on why this kind of sits somewhere in the middle of what is responsible content for teaching people how to change their life in this game?
I struggle to see that, honestly. What I'm taking from that is it's okay to lose.
Okay.
Losses are part of the game. If you do, you can always start again. Use code Zamco, you get a little discount. But the point is, it's okay to lose. There's going to be moments where you have profit and you're going to lose it. You can cry about it or start again. It's fine. That happens. Even someone who gets big payouts like me, I lose along the way. And I'm telling you, look, it's normal. You will have profit and you will lose it. That's just part of the game.
So, and I don't agree with, I don't disagree with that part of it. I think the part where it starts to sit on the wrong side for me is it's not that you're discouraging people to lose. I almost feel like this is normalizing the fact that it's okay to blow these big opportunities. But I think the thing that really, and this is a personal thing, that just didn't set well with me, particularly just in that video, was the use code Zamco. Because it was like, now I'm going to get paid for your failure.
Okay.
Do you get where I'm coming from with that?
Yeah, I see what you mean. What you mean.
And look, I'm not against people using affiliate commissions. I think if you've got an influence in the space and you're able to leverage that to make money, by all means. But I think from the perspective of again, maybe someone that's uninformed in the space, that's watching and has randomly come across content like that, they're going to look at your content and be like, fuck, this guy's been able to create life-changing amounts of money from this space. How has he gone ahead and done that? And they're going to be wanting to learn from your approach. But then I think there's a part of this video, which again, I agree, normalizing and accepting that losses are a part of the game and accounts are going to be blown, 100%. Don't disagree with that by any means, in any way, shape or form. But I think somewhere in the way that this was translated, it came across as you're going to be someone that's going to be paid for other people failing. Do you get what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Didn't realize it comes across that way. It's an ongoing thing where I have code Zamco for almost
everything.
Any prop firm. So it's literally just very normal for me. Use code Zamco. Even my brother's videos, he'll turn the camera to me and I'll be saying in his video, code Zamco. I think that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's just, I just say use code Zamco regardless. And I don't see the harm in that. I see what you're saying, that it's kind of me saying, look, if you lose, don't worry, I'll still get paid from your commission, but you don't have to use code Zamco. It's just, you'll get the most discount with that prop firm anyway. So you might as well, it's a little transaction. You might as well help me out and I'll help you with the value that I'm providing you.
Do you think there is any, and again, I'm asking completely honestly and purely from my perspective, do you think that there is any leniency with prop firms? Because I can only presume you also have the influence to make them a lot of money in that they continue to allow you to trade with them.
I'm actually banned from quite a few. So I was hoping, I guess, to an extent, that maybe I'll have some leniency, but it's nope, that's not the case. It's when I was going into the social media space, I thought, well, I see all these prop firm influencers, they seem to be doing big payouts and they're not banned or anything. I thought it would be the same for me. No, I got banned too. I get banned from a lot of prop firms. Not literally a few days ago, I got banned from another one. But Yeah, so that leniency isn't really there, but there is support. You might get extra support because obviously it's like a YouTube creator. It's like if you've got millions of subscribers, if something happens wrong with your account, they'll be like, look, we'll look into it. No worries. But that's just because you're helping them, they're helping you. That's different. That's just business. But yeah, there's not really any leniency in that way. I get restricted heavily on most prop firms. I get banned from prop firms. It doesn't matter about my social media.
And again, I asked the question, I think, purely because I'm trying to think of this from the perspective of someone that is from the outside looking in and trying to understand the dynamics of the situation. And I know there's a lot of people that call for the idea that there's a lot of shady things that happen in the prop firm space. And again, and I said this to you a little bit earlier on, I don't think that there's going to be a lot of people that can operate either in the way that you have done or in the way that you do and be allowed to get away with it. I have seen many a case, and again, I'm not accusing you of anything in particular, but I have seen many a case where people have been banned and restricted for far less.
Yeah.
Right. I have seen, and if I recall correctly, I've seen situations where you've spoken about taking challenges in the sense that like you've never even used a stop loss in certain situations. And I guess this is just part of the discipline side of things, right? And again, I think if I hypothetically was a prop firm owner and you came to do business with me, whether I said it openly or not, I wouldn't want you there.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why I'm restricted to how much I can make with a lot of prop firms.
Yeah.
They say, look, keep it below this percentage. We won't have a problem with you. Otherwise, we'll just ban you. So,
Fair.
you know, it is what it is. That's what I've done for myself.
Yeah.
And I just accept it.
Fair. I firstly, I want to say, like, I appreciate you taking all of this on board quite openly. Not always not always easy conversations to have. And I appreciate you taking it on board. And I say this purely from the perspective of, because we started off today's conversation with you being open to the idea of accountability, reflection. We talked about the idea that often we're blinded to what people see on the other side and, not having those perspectives. And I think there is, just some space or some caution to be wary of the message that you send online. And again, maybe that's just my perspective. There may be hundreds, thousands of other people out there that disagree with my take on it. There may be hundreds or thousands that probably agree. And the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. I truthfully believe that there are very few actual bad people in this world, right? I don't believe you're one of them, right? I think there are very few actual bad people in this world. I think people often get lost in translation with what they're trying to do. And this is why I wanted to specifically talk about that piece of content, because I'm like, I understand I took something from that, but that doesn't mean everybody else online got the exact same impression. And that's why I kind of wanted to get your take on it to understand what is the message that you're actually trying to put out there for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to kind of take this full circle, right? Because I don't want this to be like I'm going in on you for your content. This is not how the conversation was supposed to go today.
It's absolutely fine. It helps.
I appreciate it. I want to understand, like, you've obviously had a very interesting journey in the prop space. You've gone from someone that has really struggled, that has now learned to play the game very, very well. For somebody watching this from the outside looking in, and they are still in that struggle phase, with the current climate of today's prop firm, what's the best way to approach things? Like, either from a mental, maybe not so much a strategic perspective, but what's the best way to start looking at this to really get the most of things with the current rules and regulations that are in place?
I think it's looking at the top prop firms and only going for those. Now, I understand there are cheap prop firms. There's big sales, whatever. A lot of people are really inclined to that. But guess what? There's a string attached. There's extra rules that you might not even know. But you're going to have to pay more is kind of what the industry is now. Like the high paying prop firms where the challenge costs a bit more and they are ranked quite high on like the prop firm match or whatever. There's a reason they're priced like that. It's like they're actually quite reputable. They're quite good. So I think that's what you need to start focusing on, is actually going with good quality prop firms. It comes at an expense. But again, what's worth more? Actually getting paid or making a bunch of money on a shady firm that doesn't pay you out? It doesn't make sense. So it's worth paying that extra and going for top prop firms that have legitimacy and credibility behind them.
You need the #1 trading tool for traders. Introducing TradeZeller. It doesn't matter if you're a Forex trader, a crypto trader, an options trader, or even a futures trader. TradeZeller is for everyone. To be profitable, you need to have an edge. TradeZeller allows you to identify, manage, tweak, and refine your trading edge. You can connect unlimited accounts to TradeZeller, It will pull all of your data onto a dashboard. It gives you in-depth analytics, and this makes journaling so easy. You can add playbooks, trade replay, full back testing, all in one single tool. By using TradeZella, you'll not only understand all of your trading data, but you'll get feedback on exactly what's working and what isn't. Use code PFT for 20% off the yearly subscription or PFT10 for 10% off the monthly. Try it out and watch your trading transform. I have a very unpopular take that I've shared for many years. And I say this because primarily it was a big part of my journey. I always say to a lot of people, one of the quickest ways to fix your psychology is to have a separate source of income.
Yes.
And not a lot of people like that, because I think in this day and age, a lot of people have that dream and the goal of full-time trading. When we talk about the idea of how to play the game properly in today's day and age, and you advocate, and actually I would really agree with this take, that it makes more sense to often go for the props that are more reputable, but often will be more expensive. I don't know if, I mean, to say it bluntly, I don't know if I would encourage most people to become full-time traders in today's day and age. I think we live in an age where it's never been easier to make money in so many different ways. I don't know why it makes sense to have all of your income come from an unstable source of... Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you agree with that? And would you give the same advice to a lot of people as well?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think starting out, absolutely. Do not try and go full-time trading until you have months of consecutive data. Like you are good at trading, let's say. So I had, I think, $250,000 in payouts before I decided, maybe I can do this full-time. And then I left my job. So it was only until I had that and I had money saved up and I had evidence that, on a monthly basis, I can consistently make more than 10K a month. So until I had that, I wasn't confident enough to leave. And once I left my job, it's proven now over the year. It's like, wow, monthly I can make consecutively 40, 60K a month. And it's like, I know my skill and I'm confident now. But starting out, I would not recommend that at all. I worked a job for 1.5 years whilst also trading prop firms and getting payouts until I left. And I was like, oh, okay, now I'm at a place where I can leave.
I didn't actually realize that you went through the phase where you were juggling both the job and trading at the same time.
Yeah.
How did you find that balance? Because, and I say this from the perspective of you trade a 1-minute chart. That's going to be something that you need to be, I guess, fairly focused on.
Yeah.
How did you balance that with work?
So most of my jobs have been like work from home.
Okay.
So that really helped. It's like I can
Fair.
do whatever the flip I want. But also there were hybrid jobs, and that was the one that I worked for my longest 1.5 years. And even then, it's laptop and I'm on my own desk. No one's really around me. No one really cares what you do. It's as long as you get the work done. So yeah, I'll be flicking between the charts and my work. And what I would try and do is within the first 2 weeks of the month. So this was like a monthly reports that I had to do. Within the first 2 weeks, I'll get all those reports done. And now I'm chilling. It's like I can be trading however I want. And if someone walks past me quickly, alt tab and like kind of just do that. But that's kind of how it was. It's like, because I'm just working on my laptop, no one's bothering me. It's not like a labor job like construction where you can't just go on your phone.
Yeah.
So I think that's what really helped. It's just the type of job that I had.
Interesting. And when you took the shift from going full-time job to full-time trader, did you ever have a vision at the start of your journey as this is what I want to achieve from trading or the prop firm space? Was that something that you were very clear on in coming in with?
What do you mean? Like that I want to be a full-time trader?
No, as in like what's the goal for you when it comes to prop firms? Was it a certain, like, I want to be able to make X amount of money and that would be something that I'm aiming towards? Or like what's the vision that you're trying to work towards? Or is there no vision you're just kind of doing your thing on a day-to-day basis?
I think after I made my first $250,000 in prop firms, and I did that in like 6 months, then I was thinking, okay, well, when January began, 2025, that's when I left my job. So again, I was thinking, well, I did that in 6 months. Maybe I could do $500,000 in a year because I did $250,000 in 6 months. So that was kind of my goal. It's like, okay, well, if I can do like $500,000 a year, which statistically maybe I can because I have data that shows I can do $250K in 6 months. So maybe I can do $500,000 a year. That was my vision. But I didn't know I would make over $1 million in that year. But that was kind of my idea. I want to make like $500,000 a year because I have proof that I can do it.
I want to jump back to something which you said earlier on, right? Which is, and I think maybe this is a good reflection piece for you in terms of your journey, but your vision in going full time was, I think it's possible to do 500,000 in a year.
Yeah.
You've done 1.4 million, if I'm correct in that, in the space of just under 2 years.
Yes.
Do you feel proud of how far you've come?
No.
Why?
Because I know what I did along the way, meaning I knew that I was undisciplined. I know that I was undisciplined along the way. I know that I was taking trades I shouldn't have. I know that I was spending too much money on challenges because I couldn't be asked to like wait for the daily drawdown to reset. I was just like, oh, let me breach this, let me quick start again. It was that bad psychology along the way where I knew that if I actually did things right, I could have been much further ahead. So what I've made, like I said in the beginning, is like, it's really unsatisfactory for me because I know I could have done more. And I'm always in a state of I could have done better. So I'm not really ever satisfied with my performance.
It's a really interesting take. And I want to say something to you. And I don't know if anyone's ever said it before. Much of today's conversation has been centered around the idea that actually prop firms have been a blessing for you because they've helped you to level up in so many ways. I actually think to a certain degree, prop firms are holding you back from what may truly be possible. Because I think if you were forced to go through and become more disciplined, break some of the bad habits that are currently holding you back from that untapped potential, which is making you feel unsatisfied, then actually you would be much closer to feeling a certain degree of satisfaction. I think what you found is maybe comfort in a space where, in your words, you've mentioned you've taken like the easy route, where you found a way to gamify a space, make a ton of money in the process, but actually you feel no joy in it, which I think is, as a human being, it's a difficult thing. Because, I mean, for all I know, everyone's going to have a different belief with this, but for all I know, we get one shot here at life.
Yeah.
And I think this game is not about money. It should be far more about fulfillment, joy, making yourself happy. And for someone like yourself that has, in my opinion, achieved some incredible things in the space to turn around and say, actually, they're not pleased with their performance and they want to be better. There's a side to it, which I'm like, you know what? Highly ambitious people, they always will have that drive to a certain extent. And I don't believe it's a bad thing. But I also believe that there should be a side of you that should be able to look back and be proud of how far you've come. And this is the only reason why I flipped the perspective. And judging by, and again, my read of this might be wrong, I'm hoping you'll walk away today and that will be something that sticks with you to think like, is the prop firm space actually holding me back from my potential full untapped, what I'm able to do in this space whatsoever? I genuinely think like when you break down the type of trades that you've taken, the mindset that it's taken you to get to where you are today, I believe actually you've got a lot bigger things in store for you. But the only person that needs to get out of your way is you.
Yeah.
And I think the part that's really holding you back is maybe you found some kind of comfort in the prop firm space. And I think maybe the best thing for you is to have a little bit of discomfort to force you to face those enemies to help you to find your untapped potential.
Fair enough. No, I completely agree with that. That's probably why I'm always so unsatisfied, is this underlying potential that I'm just not capitalizing on. And yeah, maybe prop firms are limiting me. Maybe if I was trading personal capital with no rules, where I'm not restricted, and I actually am disciplined, I could be half a billion. I don't know. Anything. It's like I could be so much ahead. So yeah, no, I agree with you. That's probably the case and the reason why I'm so unsatisfied.
Interesting. I just find this interesting from a human perspective, because I always say I'm very, very fortunate to connect with a lot of very successful people. And I guess success is obviously a subjective term, right? It's going to be dependent on the individual. But there are going to be many people watching this that look at somebody in your position and they would happily want to trade places with you. And there's a great quote. I always butcher this when I say it, but they always say like people are jealous of the results that you've got, but never the process that it took you to get there, right? And so I think it will be interesting for a lot of people to think like, I think there will be people that look at your situation, especially, and again, it's a very limited scope from a financial perspective, and be like, he's made it. He's done it all. He's got it all.
Yeah.
But actually, in your perspective, you're actually very much unsatisfied. And I think maybe your next level up is going to be learning how to break through that ceiling and figuring out what happens for you next there.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
What does the journey of Zamco look like over the next, I don't know, 12 months or so? Is that something that you've thought about? Because obviously you've mentioned that the restrictions from you in the prop space, they're not what they used to be 2-3 years ago. You've changed your approach in terms of the type of payouts that you're going for. Is moving towards trading personal capital something that you're actually starting to think about now?
I don't think I am moving to personal capital. I understand there is untapped potential there, but I feel like the harm that it will bring to me and my family and my wife because of how it would affect me along the process, I don't think that's worth it. It's like I'm doing pretty well right now in the prop firm space. Why ruin that and go into crazy stress mode on personal capital where I can potentially lose everything? It's like, I think this is the more responsible way of doing it. It's like, I've taken the risk already in trading to get to where I am now. I've lost money along the way. Why go through that process again? Maybe push even further along, but then again, am I ever going to be satisfied is the question. Like, even if I do that, is it worth all that stress to just end up unsatisfied in the end and affect the people around me? It's like, I'm doing something that I understand, it works, makes good money, everyone's comfortable around me. Why now take the risk when I'm doing pretty well? Sure, I'm going to be unsatisfied no matter what. So why do this and affect the people around me, I guess?
So what's the end goal then past prop firms and past trading? Because you've openly said now, like, maybe if prop firms disappeared, or maybe you were banned from every prop firm hypothetically, you maybe wouldn't transition into personal capital. Is there a vision of what you're working towards to maybe diversify the money that you've made into something else?
Yeah. So definitely I want to move into properties as much as I can, and in passive businesses like car washes, anything like laundromats, crap like that. Just get things set up where I don't have to actively do as much, but never ever lose that drive of building. Like, even if it's passive, I'm going to keep trying to expand it, just build. I can't ever let that go. I can't lose that drive of mine to build and conquer. But I also want to reduce the stress as well of not having to rely on my performance all the time. I want to set up something passive, but also don't lose the ability or that drive to conquer and build.
Do you think it will be something that you take an active choice to actually step away from, or will you wait till the point where maybe it's no longer possible for you to trade prop firms before you take that transition into something else?
Oh, that's a good one. I think as I keep pushing with prop firms and keep getting payouts, there will come a point where I just keep getting banned, or I'm just restricted on too many, where it's like, at this point, it doesn't make any sense for me to do it anymore. I think at that point I would stop. But whilst I still have the ability to keep trading them, I think that will keep me occupied, and I'll keep doing that as well as building things on the side.
So if I'm understanding this right, like right now, I think it's fair to say the prop game at certain times can be a certain degree of stress, a certain headache. But right now the payoff is worth it for the headache. When that stops becoming an equally balanced equation, will be the time where you shift.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, fair. All right, Zamco, I want to start to wind things down a little bit.
Sure.
I want to end with a couple of things that I've been doing with each guest. One of them, very nice and easy, some quick fire questions. I've got 3-4 questions I would love to throw your way.
Sure.
Nothing hard, nothing difficult. The last one, which I'll explain, we're calling Confessions of a Trader, which I'll explain as we get into it.
Okay.
Quick fire questions. So I've got 3 or 4 to throw your way. In your experience, what is one behavior that destroys prop firm accounts the fastest?
Impatience.
Interesting. In your experience, what is one prop firm rule that will actually help you to succeed?
Consistency.
Ooh.
That's controversial, but I've noticed my trading has gone significantly better when trading consistency accounts. I wait for better setups naturally.
Interesting. What is one thing that you would encourage most traders to do to find profitability?
Study their losers and not just screenshot the wins.
Nice. I like that. Okay, cool. So last part today, we're calling Confessions of a Trader. So this is, and like I always say, I'm very, very fortunate to be able to connect with hundreds of traders on a month-to-month basis. A lot of them struggling, aspiring traders trying to find their path. And what I like to do is compile a list of messages, themes, tones, and work them into kind of a confession that I read out to one of our guests. And all I want is your honest insights, perspectives, and advice on what you would give to somebody that is kind of confessing this about their journey to you.
Okay.
So this one was actually based on somebody that I spoke with last week. I had a DM in a community that I was working with from one of the traders, and they confessed that last year they blew 32 accounts without getting a single payout. Their question was, what is a normal number of accounts to blow before it clicks, and how do I know I'm actually on the right path?
I'll tell you, that's not a lot. I've blown much more in a single week than 32.
Interesting.
It happens. But now the question is, are you looking at why you lost those accounts? I know why I lost my accounts. So if you're just going to sit and say, I lost this many accounts, but you don't know why, then you're going to struggle. You lost those 32 accounts. Cool. Why did you lose it? What were you doing that you shouldn't have been doing? Understand that and try to fix that. And it is absolutely normal. I think a lot of people in the space, they blow a lot of accounts. You burn a lot of accounts. And the profitable traders that you see hitting big payouts, they lose a lot of accounts along the way. That's just part of the process. But I think the difference is they study why they're losing and understand that and then try to flip that. But I think that's the best advice I could give is understand why you lost those accounts. Try to really understand that and try to flip the script.
Nice. I like that. Zamco, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I do want to say before we wrap this up, I know some of the questions may have seemed confrontational. I always like to try and keep these conversations as raw and as honest as possible. And I'll say it whether it's good or bad. And again, like I said, I think there's a part of me that has a great degree of respect for what you've been able to do in the space. And a lot of people watching should look at what you've been able to do with a massive amount of inspiration as to what is possible in terms of how prop firms can really change your life. But I couldn't do this episode without asking certain questions about content and the message that you're putting out there, and maybe just leaving you with a certain degree of thought about what type of message you are putting out there and if it's being conveyed in the right way. Because like I said, I think whether you like it or not, you end up in a position where you have a certain degree of influence. And I think to a certain degree, not to quote Spider-Man, it comes with a certain degree of responsibility.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So I'm genuinely very, very appreciative that you've been open enough to talk about it. I know a lot of people will shy away from conversations like this, and I didn't think you would be one of them given what I learned about your journey and how transparently you talk about certain things. So I'm very, very grateful that you've had this conversation. I think there will be a lot of people that know your journey, whether they love you or hate you, that I think will enjoy today's conversation and learn a little bit more about the person rather than, just the few snippets that they see of you online. So I'm very, very appreciative of your time today.
No, thank you for asking me questions like that, because I know old me would have gotten defensive, thought, oh, you're stupid, why would you think that? And I think after getting married, I've had to transition into understanding different perspectives, and I've seen the benefit. It's like I'm in a state in my life where I want to be the best man that I can be, and that comes with people disagreeing. That comes with different opinions and me thinking, oh, that's a bit stupid, but let me try to understand that. Where are they coming from? So the fact that you even said that me promoting that code kind of comes across as though I'm just saying, well, it doesn't matter if you lose, you'll still pay me a bit. It's like, I didn't even realize that that's how I come across. I was just thinking, oh, you get maximum discount. Help me, I'll help you, no problem. That's how I thought, but that's a good perspective I never thought of. So that's something I would try to implement and try to understand. How can I change that? And I think even with this podcast, every single podcast I do, I go away and look at how did I speak? What did I say? He asked me this question. Did I stutter? Did I say this? Did I talk about this too much? Did I mess up my word? It's like I'm constantly analyzing where am I going wrong? How can I improve that? So honestly, I really appreciate you asking questions like that, where it really puts me on the spot and it's like, oh, I didn't understand that, or I didn't see that perspective. And now, I'm having to understand and go through that discomfort, but I really appreciate it. And I think it'll make me a much better person.
Thank you. I genuinely appreciate it. And you know what? I only do this because these are conversations that I would want to have with other people. I think a big part of being successful and growing and becoming a better man every single day is all about hearing all sides of the perspective and being able to see things from all sides. So the fact that you are self-aware enough to take that on board, take it on the chin, and to be able to reflect and to grow and become better from it, respect to you, man. Genuinely. Really appreciate your time today, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Guys and girls, that was another fantastic episode of the Prop Firm Trader. What were your thoughts on today? What was your biggest takeaway? What was the mindset shift that Zamco shared that's going to help you to create that change in your trading? Put it down in the comments below. Like I always say, if you want to share your confessions of what your journey has been like and you want me to read that out to a guest, again, drop it in the comments. We'd love to have a read of every single one of them. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more interviews just like this, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.